Carl, we need to start with the other night. Of course, 4-3 defeat at home to the team at the bottom. It was a horrible atmosphere around the ground on full time. I just wonder what it's been like among the players since. Have you had kind of big discussions about it? Has it been business as usual? How have you dealt with that defeat?
I think as a group we sort of had a discussion after the game in the change rooms, and a few things were said as we weren't happy with the result, and we knew a result like that is not acceptable. I think at home we, as a group, as a team, we want to be winning most games, and I said it at the start of the season that we had to try and make this place a bit of a fortress, and over the last sort of few weeks it's been a little bit too easy to come and turn us over, which is unlike us. So yeah, we said a few things. We had obviously a little bit of a chat, and we're going to try and put them wrongs right on Saturday.
You went on Twitter this week to explain a conversation you said you were having with a supporter. What happened there? And in hindsight, was it the right time to try and engage in a conversation with a fan on full time after a defeat like that?
I think so. Yeah, I just put the tweet out because I didn't want it to get blown out of proportion that like a few people were trying to do at the time. It was simply a fan was quite close and he was leaning over the horns, and I wouldn't say he's giving abuse to him, but he's giving his opinion. So I simply just said what I said in the tweet, and just said that in times like these we need the supporters to stick with us. We understand it's not good enough, but abusing lads or booing isn't going to help confidence or anything like that. We understand it's not good enough. We don't for 1 minute come off the pitch and go into the change rooms all laughing and joking and having to carry on. We know it's not good enough, and we know for this club we shouldn't be sat on the table where we are with the start, and even with the performances we've had recently. I think if you take out the scorelines from recent games, we've been very much in games, and I think the second half on Tuesday was probably the worst half performance we've had, definitely in recent weeks. But I just felt at the time the guy was quite close. I just thought I'd have a chat with him, and then that was that. But I just didn't want something of that magnitude to boil over or to get blown out of proportion on Twitter, and silly things being said that don't need to be said. So that's why I sort of just cleared it up.
The relationship between the players and the fans has been so good of late, but then we've had you on Twitter this week explaining that. Aidan Baldwin's come out to explain hitting the ball into the crowd. Dan Crowley's come out for a lot of stick from supporters for cupping his hands around his ears in front of the cop. Is that something that needs, I said to Stuart Maylock, maybe a bit of TLC now, that relationship between players and supporters? Do you feel a bit of a disconnect at the moment that's not been there for a while?
I wouldn't say disconnect. No, I think they're right to have their opinions. The fans, they pay their money at the end of the day to come watch us, and our performance on Tuesday, along with the result, wasn't good enough. So the best way to give some TLC is to start putting results on the board and putting 3 points on the board, and start showing them what we're about with our intensity and energy off the ball. I think we all know that on the ball we've got that in abundance. I think off the ball, I think we need to work a little bit harder together as a group, and like I said, try and swing the momentum now back in our favour, and make the fans happy that way. Like a few people have said, like we can say as many words as we want, but it's actions that speak louder.
It's the shock factor, I think, for supporters, isn't it? The fact that you've been top at the start of this season, carrying that great momentum on after winning at Wembley, and started brilliantly, scoring so many goals and winning matches. And then the form for the last 3 months has been 11 points from 14 games, which is relegation form. That complete shock from being top to showing relegation form, you can understand why everybody feels a bit shell-shocked in the crowds, really, at what they're seeing, the difference.
No, of course. Like you said, we put ourselves in a great position the first half of the season, and as of recent, we've dropped off and haven't been able to replicate that sort of form in the results. So it's now we've got 12 games now where we have to turn around, and we can't let the season just peter out. We have to try and make something of it, and push as hard as we can to get back in that playoff places. We're only 4 points away. Do you know what I mean? Considering how bad of a run we have been on, we're still within touching distance of that seventh place. That obviously a lot of teams know is up for grabs at the moment. So I think for us, we've just got to get our heads down, sort of forget about the noise and put the performances right and make sure the results are coming with them performances.
It is remarkable. The other night, going into that game, you were 13th. A win could have taken you 8th, which just shows, just a place of the playoff. It shows how tight it is. Somebody in that group is going to go on a bit of a run. Bradford are on one at the moment, but in that final run, just takes a run now. Do you feel Notts have it in you at the moment to do that, to get up to up to that 7th spot?
No, 100%. We've shown it this season already. We haven't just overnight changed personnel. We've got the same lads here. We can definitely do that. We're working hard to try and do that. Like you say, if you put 3-4 wins on the bounce, we're probably sat in the playoffs again, and everything will be sort of happy as Larry. But for now, we have to just focus on getting that win on Saturday and sort of putting that little bit of momentum forward first on Saturday, winning, and then let it sort of snowball from that.
As captain, what are you doing at the moment around the camp to try and get the players into that place, the right place, in order to be able to do that for the final run-in?
Just trying to keep positive, just trying to keep relaying the messages that the gaffer's putting out for how we want to play, and trying to drive things in training, trying to keep lads on top of things. Of course, there's lads down the dumps a little bit with how things have been going recently, but it's my job and senior lads to keep driving them standards and try and pick lads up when they need to be picked up and sort of point us in the right direction.
Is that, when you say kind of need picking up a bit, is that confidence, and it's bound to be hit when you're conceding a lot of goals and you're losing football matches, of course, but is that then the reason sometimes that some of the mistakes are creeping in and that you're giving away soft goals? Is it kind of becoming a vicious circle in a sense?
Possibly, yeah. I think lads are trying to do the right things. These mistakes aren't because lads are, tossing it off or not doing it properly. Everyone's doing the right things, everyone's trying to do the right things, and sometimes we're just not executing it properly, whether that's a little bit of confidence or a little bit of concentration. It's something that we obviously we're trying to address and we're trying to sort out. So fingers crossed, Saturday's the first of 12 games where the fans can look on and see a little bit of a difference.
It's a perfect game to do it, isn't it, against another one of those sides pacing around and a team in decent form. This would be the perfect game to start that.
No, definitely. I think the next sort of 5-6 games are playing everyone around us, so we can start leapfrogging teams, hopefully, and picking up points and starting to get up close to that 7th spot or however high we can possibly get in these 12 games. But for now, I think we've got to just aim to try and get as close to that playoffs as possible with a win on Saturday.
Best of luck with it, Carl.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, Carl. You sort of talked a little bit there about that momentum and getting these wins and it snowballing. What do you have to do after winning a game, like hopefully you aim to on Saturday, to then keep that going and keep that consistency?
It's then just back to square one. It's preparation for the next game. You sort of draw a line under it and you go again and you make sure things are done right throughout the week, preparation's done correctly, and you go into the game obviously then with a little bit more confidence and a little bit more belief within the group.
And then sort of again off of the fan reaction on Tuesday, does that amongst the squad, is that, and for yourself personally, do you sort of use that as fire to go forward and start winning games again?
I think we have to. There's no other way we can possibly take that reaction from the fans. We have to use it to sort of propel us forward. What they're doing is how we're all feeling inside at the moment. We're not happy. We're upset. We don't want to be losing games of football. As a club in the last 18 months, we haven't been used to that. So as much as it is to us, it's to the fans, it's a shock to the system, and it's something that we have to try and to change around and, like I say, build that momentum and try and kick on.
And is it more difficult? You sort of said drawing a line under if you win a game, drawing a line and preparing for the next one, but is it a bit more difficult when you're on a run of bad form to draw that line and focus on the next game?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think it's shown over the last few months that we've found it difficult to sometimes forget about these games. But I feel like the last few games, it hasn't been bad performances. They've just been bad results. We've been in, apart from the second half on Tuesday, which I touched on, we've 100% been in games, and if you go off the stats like the club like to, then we should have picked up a lot more points out of them last few games. We've had, bad decisions go against us, things aren't falling for us, and it feels like everything that can go wrong has been going wrong in the last few weeks, and it's all come at one time. But like I said, now we have to just try and forget about that, draw a line under it, and just look at this as a sort of a mini season now of 12 games where we have to pick up as many points as we possibly can.